And welcome to another episode of Gamerheads. My name is Roger, aka Rogue Leader 76, and with me are my co-host Christian,
aka Fulgen,
and my other co-host Blue,
aka Writer's View.
Welcome to the show. We have a exciting show for you. We will have an interview later on in the show with Gabriel Koenig, and he is the creator behind Jettomero, Hero of the Universe. So we'll be speaking to him about that. Before we get into that, though, we do have an icebreaker. And my icebreaker this week is, what is your favorite Halloween game? And Christian, we'll start with you. What is your favorite Halloween game?
I don't really have one that I go back to very often to get in the Halloween mood, but I love The Binding of Isaac, and that's a very Halloween mood type game, so I play that one around Halloween time a lot.
Nice. I have not gotten that game. You speak highly of that game, and I feel like I should go play it.
Yeah, it's very, very hardcore. It's very inaccessible is probably a good word for it, because when you start playing it, it doesn't become immediately obvious or apparent why anyone would like playing it until you just end up playing it for 20 hours and start regretting it.
You're really selling this really well.
Yeah. It's my favorite Halloween game. I hate Halloween, by the way.
Exactly.
I'll have to give that game a try. Is it creepy? Is it scary?
It's weird. Yeah, it's kind of gross and dingy.
I am all over this game. I want to play this so much.
There you go.
I thought there was like religious themes to this game. Are there not? Or am I wrong?
There are.
Okay.
Yep. Binding of Isaac. Isaac is a character in the Bible.
He is? No, I know that.
Mm-hmm.
Religious studies major here.
named
I better
Abraham.
know that. Yeah.
Abraham Lincoln.
Yep. That's
Who
in the
freed
Bible
the
too.
Slaves.
Yep. That's all in the Bible.
You got it.
All right, Blue, we'll move on to you. What is your favorite Halloween game?
I've been playing a lot of Hollow Knight this year, and it's kind of Halloween-y in that it's,
Yeah, I'd say so.
it's got that gloomy kind of color palette, and everybody's running around in masks kind of a thing. That might be my new favorite Halloween game, but prior to that, I would have said Resident Evil 4.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah, it's a good one.
I know
That
a
is a
lot
good
of
one.
people hate on that game because it's like not traditional Resident Evil, but I don't care. I love it. It's so much fun. When I first got it, I sat down and I played through it in 2 days. I skipped all my classes.
Holy cow.
I
my
didn't
gosh.
really sleep. I was just like, I can't stop.
Wow. Was that the one that's on the Wii? Is that the really famous one that's on the Wii, right?
Well,
It's on the Wii. It's on the GameCube. It's on
yeah,
PS4
it came out on
and
the
Xbox One now.
GameCube.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I tried the Wii. I'm not good at Resident Evil games, so I'm not going to even say about my experience because I'm not good. So, but I've heard good things about it, and I tried it, and I died, and I get really frustrated, and that's as far as I got. So,
Yeah, you're going to get eaten a lot. So
yeah, that happened to me a lot. So cool. I would say that my favorite Halloween game, I try to play it every year. Well, I guess last year was the first year I tried playing it, and I'll try playing it again this year, but it freaks me out so much, and that's Corpse Party on the 3DS. That
Cool.
game is super cool. It's good, but if you put earbuds in, it has like the 3D music sound or whatever. It was the dynamic music. I forget what it's called. But
3D
oh my
music?
gosh. Yeah. Like I don't know what they call it. It's like a certain term. I'm not sure what
Fascinating.
it is. Yeah. Come to our podcast and learn about all the technical terms about, about games. Oh man, I put that last year. I was playing it, and the music just and the sounds and everything, because you can hear like whispers and stuff. Oh my god, even freaks me out right now just thinking about it. It's a really freaky game.
Did you ever?
It's all cartoony. So
Did you ever watch the anime?
no, I didn't. Is it freaky?
Well, if you think the game is, you probably shouldn't.
Ugh.
Just putting it out there.
Yeah, I heard that they're coming up with the Corpse Party 2 on the Switch, which isn't as good as the original one. I don't know why they don't bring the original one to... They brought it to the 3DS. I don't know why they don't bring it to the Switch as well. But anyway, listeners, let us know what your favorite Halloween game is. You can send us an email at info@gamerheadspodcast.com. You can also send us a tweet, and that's at GamerheadsPC, or you can go on Facebook, and that's facebook.com/GamerheadsPodcast. All right, let's go into the news then, and I have a couple items here, and if you guys have additional items, feel free to jump in. The first item that I have here is from Push Square. This is actually from our friend Robert Ramsey, and people are reporting that they're getting messages on their PS4 that is bricking their system. The PS4 cannot recognize the messages, and it will require a manufacturer reboot to fix the issue. And then they list out some steps to keep you safe, so you don't receive such messages. You can go to your settings, go to account manager, go to privacy settings, go to personal info/messaging. And then from there you go to messages, and then you set your messages to either friends only or to no one. So yeah, that's crappy that people are doing that.
Mm-hmm. Do you guys ever get random messages from people?
Yes.
Yeah.
Some person named X_freak_X_freak show.
Yeah. I hate that one. I hate that person.
No, actually, I got one the other day, and it said something along the lines of, "Hey, I'm super busy. Sorry, I can't talk. Why don't you just give me a call sometime?" And it had this phone number in it. I'm like, delete. But that's the first time I've ever seen like somebody saying, "Give me a call sometime." I'm like, what the hell is this? And I'm not the only one that got that. Like other people that mentioned, I put that on Push Square in the comments section under that article, and somebody else said, I got the same thing. So.
Oh no, that's not good.
It's bait.
As someone who doesn't play a lot of online games, do you ever get these, Blue?
No, I think I probably already have my messages set to none.
Nice. That's smart.
Yeah, I think
you
I
see,
have my whole,
yeah, go ahead.
I think I have my whole profile set to don't allow friends. Just like the antisocial profile, that's what I've got.
That's a very good idea. Because I get messages quite often because I'm lurking in the Call of Duty multiplayer lobbies of the world, and I'll have people put me in group chats all the time, and they suck bad because you get plopped in a group chat and then you get notification, like 50 of them of just people leaving the group chat because this person just spam added people, and that's really annoying. Or there was one guy who added like the whole multiplayer lobby. He's like, "Hey, I just recorded a YouTube video. Check out my YouTube channel where you were featured." And I said, "No, thank you."
So it's Twitter, basically.
Yeah. Exactly.
Wow. Yeah, where you were featured, and you're like, the only thing I said was the F word because I was getting killed.
Yeah. Rather not watch that. Thanks,
yeah,
though.
exactly. Thanks for letting me know I was featured.
Yeah.
Did you spell my last name correctly?
Oh.
That's what you should have
said. Did you spell freak correctly? Did you
get
the underscores right in the freak show?
Another article from Push Square. Also, actually, I think this one might be from Sammy. You will be able to change your PSN name in 2019. And the first change will be free of charge, and then after that, $10 for each time you want to change your name, or if you have a PS Plus membership, that will cost you $5 for every time you want to change your name.
That kind of seems like a load of crap.
Yeah.
Like, why on earth would it cost to change people's names?
Because that's what the industry is doing. Like Xbox does that too, right?
Yeah, Xbox does it, but I don't believe Steam does it.
Oh, interesting. And so Christian and I were talking a little bit before the podcast about this. Christian, why don't you go ahead and tell our listeners about the caveat about this?
Yeah, there's a bunch of caveats because it's PlayStation and the name changes are a complete mess. Because they've been trying to do this for a handful of years now, is my understanding, and I've heard from other people who have contacts that they have had developers working on this name change situation for a long time, and they haven't been able to figure it out because apparently on the back end, everything involving the PlayStation Network is all tied to a specific username that you put in when you created it. It's not tied to some abstracted ID, which is how everything else does it, where your account is actually a series of numbers and letters instead of your actual username. Whereas on PlayStation, it's just your username, and so that's tied to a bunch of junk, and so from a programming standpoint, it would be a nightmare. But
yeah,
they are allowing name changes with an asterisk because your name will not change in most things that have come out before April 2018. So, yeah, I mean, going forward, it should all be fine. But just forget that anything before April 2018 happened, and then you can be happy with Sony again.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it would be a nightmare to try to retrofit that into their databases, so...
Yeah, I'm so glad it's here, though. I've been waiting 11 years of my life. Half of my existence has been waiting for this moment, and it's here.
Yeah.
I'm very excited. I'm going to celebrate that day and change my name so good.
That's your name going to be so good?
No, I'm gonna really change
is it
my
gonna be
name.
So _ freak _ show?
It should.
_X. Yeah, but
I want to change it. Yeah.
It sounds like, Christian, though, that as far as Sony's concerned, you will always be X _ freak _
Yes.
X _ show.
Exactly. That's how I will always be known on the PS3 is my understanding, because the PS3 was completely dug into those usernames. Yep. And so that's how it always will be. But hopefully I want to get Fulgen. I think that might be taken, so I'll have to get creative.
Oh, if it's not taken, I better go take it right now.
Oh, no.
I'll sell it to you for $25.
Oh, you suck. Jeez.
The next article here is from Nintendo Life. So this one is really funny because Christian and I talked about this, and then I didn't tell you the update, Christian. I told you this at lunch. First, Blizzard said that cross-platform compatibility was in the works for Diablo 3. It's not an issue of if, it's an issue of when. And everybody got excited. It's like, oh, this is great. This is so cool. And then they came out and said, no, we have no plans for cross-play compatibility.
Okay.
We never said that. What are you talking about?
Yeah. The person that said that no longer works for us. So, I thought it was kind of a weird thing. I mean, it would be cool if they came out with cross-play, but I was like, that's not going to be possible. I just don't see how that could be possible. I don't know.
Yeah, that's not something that I was anticipating either. That's why it kind of caught me off guard when you said that. Because I felt like the different versions of the game would not have like the explicit same like one-to-one code that could just be, transferred across platforms. But it's just a wild guess.
Yeah. It would have been cool, but
it would have been.
Unfortunately, probably not going to happen. This is also from Nintendo Life. Actually, our next two are for Nintendo Life. Starlink, the new game that's coming out. When is that coming out? Next week, I think?
Yeah, that sounds right.
It will require a 6 gigabyte update on day one.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's the modern video game landscape we live in today, where you buy a Black Ops 4 disc, and 200 megabytes of data is actually on the disc, and the other 50 gigabytes is up on the internet.
Oh, that's weird. Yeah, I guess in regards to games, that's not that big, but if you're a Switch owner, that's kind of a big download, right?
Yeah,
prices or space is at a premium on the Switch, for real.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I know I've had to archive some of my games at this moment because of the fact that I download most of my games. I usually play them digitally instead of physically. Mm-hmm. Unless I think I'm going to take the game back for sure, but or exchange it or resell it or whatever. But yeah,
faster internet download speeds are a godsend, though. It makes me feel much more comfortable with my digital library when I can delete a game in confidence, and despite the fact it's like 50 gigabytes, I know that it can download in a couple hours, and I just have to wait that couple hours. Whereas 10 years ago, when it was just my PS3, there was no way in heck I was waiting 2 days to play the game that I just got.
Yeah. Well, and you couldn't. I mean, now they offer on the PlayStation 4 the ability to play it while it's downloading,
Yeah.
at least parts of it, right?
Yeah.
Or some
And the external
some
hard
format.
drive support is amazing too.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'm glad that they have that the ability to do that, but obviously I don't think they have that on Nintendo Switch where you can play it whilst downloading. I don't think that's possible, but
Yeah.
and then the last item that I have here is also from Nintendo Life, as I stated, Pokemon Go. Oh my gosh, this is crazy. They raked in $84.8 million in September alone.
What?
And yeah, and then another 8.86 million users signed up for Pokemon Go.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's a free to play game, right?
It is. Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's funny because like I don't understand. Well, I mean, I say yeah, but I mean, yeah. I mean, you
I
have to
haven't
buy...
played it, so I don't know.
Okay. You can buy like I never spent a dime on this game, but you can buy like eggs and you can buy Pokeballs, I think, and you can buy potions and all this other stuff. But I don't know if I told this story or not, but I think I might have, but I'll say it again. When I used to play this game when it first came out a lot during that summer, and I don't know, there's something about who I am or something, but all like strange people always come up and talk to me. This one guy like came up to me and he is wearing the same shirt day after day after day, and then he was like, "Oh, thank goodness I got paid today so I can buy some more Pokeballs.
Jeez.
Except I can't buy anything else." And then he just looked really sad, and I was like, "Oh, like are you not gonna do laundry because you're playing Pokemon?" Like it's weird. It was just weird. Yeah. So what happened in September? Why did they racking so much money, and why are there so many other like 8.86 million people were added? Why? I don't understand.
Event. Was there like a Pokemon Go event somewhere?
Oh,
in September?
There was. You're right. I think it was like their yearly event.
That probably helped a little bit.
Yeah.
What I don't like about Pokemon Go is that the rural Pokemon Go experience and the city life Pokemon Go experience couldn't be more different. Yeah. It is insane because in order to keep getting your consumables to keep catching Pokemon, you need to hit these Pokestops.
Yes.
And
or you can buy them.
Yeah, you can buy them. Exactly. So if you live in rural America, get ready to open up that wallet if you want to keep catching Pokemon. Because if you live out in the middle of nowhere, like I did one summer when Pokemon Go was out, there was absolutely nothing. It was just my map was green and there was nothing there. And then when I went back to school, which was a more densely populated city, more of a metropolis, there were Pokestops everywhere, gyms everywhere. That was the first time I ever saw a gym, and I was getting Pokeballs all the time, and it was actually feasible to play it for free and for fun.
Yeah.
And it was fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
The struggle is real.
Yeah. The struggle is real. Hey, if you're out there, Pokemoning it up, I don't know if that's even a word. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough being a trainer, man. That's why you had to move to Kanto region because if you were in a country, it just wouldn't be the same. Although in the game, they usually go out to the wild and catch more Pokemon that way. That's the weird part about it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, yeah, there's not a lot of Pokemon out by us. There's a church by I live in the country. And there's a church by me that's a Pokestop, but I don't think I'll be allowed to go there and try to.
Yikes.
I remember when it first came out, and I was at work, and I went downstairs, and like one of the guys who was working, he showed me on his phone that there was a Pokemon like right in the middle of our front desk, and I was just waiting for idiots off the street to think they could come in and get it. Nobody did, fortunately, but I was waiting for it.
Oh, man.
Yeah, there was one time where I was at work and there was a gym right next to where I worked. And it was when Pokemon Go first came out. And he saw me playing Pokemon Go. He's like, "Hey, you playing?" And I said, "Yeah." I didn't really understand it yet. And he said, "Hey, the gym out there, that's Team Wisdom. I took it. You don't take it, okay? Don't even try."
Wow.
And I said, "Okay, I'm going to move chairs so I don't eat lunch around you anymore."
I didn't realize Pokemon Go was so serious.
Oh,
Yeah.
it is. Yeah. When I was playing it, a bunch of like my friends were playing it, and there was a gym that would just go back and forth between us. We would each run down there on lunch break and take over the gym, and then the next person would come down there and take over the. It was really intense. Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Intense
And
enough
now-
that you gave people warnings in real life about when you're
Yep.
turd.
No, I didn't. We didn't give warnings. I would just say, "Hey, we took your gym now," and then they would run down there after work and take it. It was really,
Nice.
yeah, it was really weird. It was a weird social experience for sure.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I have. Do you guys have anything else?
Nope.
Oh, I remember the one that I sent you earlier. How Nintendo came out with that version of
Yeah.
Zelda, that hacked version of Zelda.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh, what's it called? Living the Easy Life or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, where it's got all
The struggle isn't real there.
No, no, it's not. It's got like all the hidden items and the caves and things are out in the open,
Yeah.
and you can save and start off from where you died, I think is part of it. And so there was some debate on Twitter amongst the gaming community about whether this was a good thing or not.
That would be a hot topic for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think because we debated that we're saying, well, they're coming out with 3 new games every month, and how are they gonna take 3 games away? But it's weird how they did that. This is on the NES Online's Switch games that you can download.
Mm-hmm.
They have, I think it's rows of like 5 or 6 across, I think. But then now they have the 4 that they added are really kind of big. Yeah, and then the 4th one is that Link one, the Legend of Zelda one. That's so weird. Like, I kind of like it because, I mean, obviously they know that like modding communities is kind of like a thing, but it's kind of weird that Nintendo is like promoting it themselves. Like, hey, we hacked this game for you. We made it
Yeah.
easy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Well,
it's
Very
weird.
strange.
Yeah, like I was talking to people about Mario Party this weekend, and the thing that kind of gets me about this Mario Party and then about Mario Kart 8 is it feels like everything's kind of tamed down so that players of all ages can be successful. Like they really wanted every person in the family to be able to come and play and be successful and have a good time. And that's wonderful, but kind of the flip side of it is it takes away some of the pizzazz, from the game, some of the the real feeling of competitiveness kind of goes away. And so then I wonder if that's kind of what they were doing when it came to Zelda, because they know that, there's a whole generations that aren't used to the difficulty level of typical retro games. And so rather than have these games be, somewhat inaccessible to this generation, they say, well, let's just give it an easy option, and then they'll go in and play, and maybe they'll enjoy it and be interested in the regular one.
Yeah. That's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, I often thought about that with, like, other games that, when I was a kid and played, like, Pac-Man. Like, Pac-Man is kind of a hard game. I mean, it's an endless game, too. Like, it just keeps going. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I haven't played it. Have you played it, Blue?
The new Zelda? No.
Yeah, the new Zelda.
No.
Yeah, I haven't either. And Christian,
It's
you don't have online service yet, right?
No, I don't. But I think it's very fascinating, and it sets an interesting precedent for what Nintendo might end up doing with that those Nintendo classics going forward.
Yeah.
Because, like you mentioned, Roger, they could do like Super Mario: The Lost Levels and give you 99 lives, so it's actually maybe possible, but probably still not.
Yeah.
Or what this also got me thinking about is kind of how some games in the era of remasters can end up kind of rewriting history and rewriting what people think about when they think about a game. And when we get to what we've been playing, I could talk about Metro 2033, which I finished twice, but it was the remastered version, the Redux on console. And I went back on PC and played the original Metro 2033. And there are fairly significant differences. And it's fascinating to think that what I experienced as Metro 2033 could be very different from what someone else thinks when you say Metro 2033.
Oh. Yeah, that is interesting.
So yeah, you
yeah.
could be talking about Zelda 1 and they could be like, yeah, I beat that. And then you'd be like, did you really?
Yeah.
And then they'd be like, well, I got it was nice how they gave you a bunch of rupees at the beginning. And then you just shake your head and walk away.
Yeah, walk away. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's interesting. Anything else? Anybody else?
No.
Well, then that's a good segue actually into our listener feedback. So we actually got quite a bit of feedback on our last episode about the hot topic, and the question was, what do you think Nintendo Switch Online has been worth the subscription price so far? And we got quite a bit. I'll just read a couple of them that we got back. The first one, they're all from Twitter. And well, I should say actually before we get into that, you can. If you want to give us feedback or if questions for the cast, you can send us an email. And Christian, how can they send us an email?
At info@gamerheadspodcast.com.
Mm-hmm.
You guys really need to make a jingle of that.
I know, we
that
do. We should. Oh, man, that's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
You can go on Twitter at Gamerheads PC as well, or on Facebook. And how can they get a hold of us on Facebook?
Facebook.com/GamerheadsPodcast.
Oh, I'm going to find music and we're going to play that. I'll just be able to. Yeah. So the first feedback we got was from X8finity writes, no, it is not worth it. The added value of the service doesn't exceed what we had for free prior to going online. The free games are mostly unplayable with a Joy-Con, and the chat app is a joke of a service.
Yikes.
I agree with the chat app. That is a joke of a service.
Yeah. I don't have an issue with the controls. I have had zero reason to try their chat app, whatever the heck it is. I've heard horror stories about that thing.
Yeah, I mean the Joy-Cons. I mean they're
Joy-Cons
small, but you
are
can
terrible.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. The Joy-Cons are terrible.
But you can get those Nintendo controllers, those NES controllers.
Mm-hmm.
You could upgrade and buy those. I mean, I don't know. I think that's also kind of crappy on Nintendo too. To be like, yeah, we know our Joy-Cons are crap, so you can buy the original Nintendo controllers wireless. I'm like, thanks.
I've just been playing the games with. I have the Pro controllers.
Oh, okay.
The retro
That
games work
works.
just fine with the Pro controllers.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, when they first came out with the retro games, they were talking about how the Joy-Cons would not work being attached to the Switch, but they works for me so far. I haven't had any issues with any of the NES games. So, another person writes in. This is from East Kentucky Retro. And they write in, for the most part, it's okay. Depends on perspective and personal preference. As far as the retro games, it has been well worth it. I have 80% of these games, but to be able to play them and not have to double dip again is awesome. And then New Bobhead writes in, I personally cannot get myself to purchase it. I am not a huge fan of online games available on the Switch besides Splatoon 2, which I am burned out on by now. The NES stuff is cool, but not enough incentive for me, even at the low price point. And then Retro Ram writes in, personally, I do not think it's worth it. They've added no value to a previously free service. So this was my concern, that, for over a full year, you were able to play the Switch for free, all these games for free online, and then they start charging, right? And I understand that was always their model to begin with. And there's probably some stress testing to go along with the free service, that free year. That's the reason I can gather that they would probably have it free, just to make sure the service can handle all that. But yeah, I don't know. To me, I feel like I paid my prescription, my PS Plus subscription, and I feel like this is cheaper, so I'm willing to pay it. So
it kind of feels like if you sign up for a new internet service or a new cable TV service, and then at first you get like a couple months really, really discounted, and then you get used to it, and then the real bill shows up, and you're like, "Holy crap!"
Yeah,
that's kind of what it feels like.
Yeah, I wonder how many of their their online user base dropped because of that.
Yeah, I don't know. And I bet we start to see a lot more games put out with online play.
Mm-hmm. I hope so. Although, did you play Mario Party Online yet?
No, not yet.
Because I feel like, and we talked about this last week, but I'm just concerned that they're going to, like, hurt the online functionality, I guess, in their games, in their own games. We'll see, I guess. But the other thing that we did ask, what was your scariest experience? And Atomist Evan on Twitter writes in, my scariest experience was when I worked at Camp Tasomas, thank you. Boy Scout camp. Where is that at, Christian?
Oh, I don't know. That's a good question.
Somebody Google it real fast.
I was walking through the woods taking a shortcut and saw a baby cub. I could hear the mother walking around, but didn't see her, and I got out of there as fast as I could. Yeah, that would be scary for sure.
Yeah, and by the way, Boy Scouts don't go into the woods.
And in fact, Reggie from Nintendo wants you to be playing Nintendo Switch instead of joining Boy Scouts. So don't join the Boy Scouts because you might be eaten by bears. Go and play your Nintendo Switch instead. My mother, it's funny. My mother-in-law actually had a very similar experience. So my wife's family is from way up north, Wisconsin, and they have bears.
Sorry, not to interrupt. I just looked up where the camp is. It's in Wisconsin.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Northern Wisconsin. Do you know what part of Wisconsin?
Yeah, no, I just said Wisconsin.
Oh, okay. But
so
yes,
stay out of the woods.
Stay out of the woods. But she had experience where she saw a baby cub up in the tree, and she walked over and she's like, "Well, hello, baby cub." And then the mother came around the tree, and she was like, "Okay, I'm walking back." So, yeah, Smokey the bear is, not somebody to be messing around with for sure. Mm-hmm. I know that there's those commercials where he'll give you a hug, but I don't think you want a bear hug for sure. No. All right, then let's move into games that we are currently playing. Christian, why don't you start us off? What are you currently playing? I know you kind of mentioned it already, but
sure, yeah. Well, I also mentioned on last podcast that I was working through Metro 2033. Before I talk about that more, though, I also played Donut County again on PS4.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, and this week I got 2 more platinum trophies, and one of them was Donut County.
Oh.
And it's still great. I would still very highly recommend it. It's on sale on PS4 right now for $10. That's still a little pricey because you get like 3 hours of enjoyment out of it, and it's really great. I mean, you can't really judge an experience entirely on the cost to time proposition, but it's a very quality game, and it is available on the Apple Store, which is a great place to get it because I think it's like $6 there or something like that.
Oh, so on the PS4, how hard was it to get your platinum trophy? Because if it's not hard, I might get it so I can just get a platinum trophy.
Really, it's quite easy actually. You just have to. The hardest part is probably defeating the boss at the end without getting hit, but that's easy.
Wow.
The hardest part, but it's easy.
Yeah, I was gonna say on a scale of Christian easy versus like my easy.
Oh no, I have no idea, Roger. You kick my butt in the NES Classic games on a daily basis, so
that is true. That's a good point.
For you, you could probably do it blindfolded.
I doubt that.
But yeah, it was fun.
Cool. Anything else that you're?
Yeah,
I know you're playing stuff, but you can't talk about. But
yeah, getting into Metro 2033, that was another one of my platinum trophies. So I finished my first playthrough and finished a second playthrough, just as I intended, which I'm very happy with. I'm glad I was able to polish off 2 full playthroughs of it to get the platinum trophy. And have any of you heard of the Metro franchise in any way, shape, or form?
I have heard of it, and I think I have one of the games that came free on it as a PlayStation Plus membership.
Oh, nice.
On the PS3, I think? Maybe PS4. I'm not sure, but I haven't played it.
I gotcha.
How about you, Blue? Have you heard it?
Honestly, no. I've never heard of it.
I gotcha. So they're games that have been on my backlog for a while, and I'm glad I'm finally getting around to them. They recently announced Metro Exodus, which is the third game in the game franchise, and it is based on a novel, I believe a singular novel or a series of novels, and basically it's about post-apocalyptic Russia, and the surface is overtaken by these mutant radioactive monsters because all of Russia has just been bombarded with atom bombs. And so the radiation caused basically all the top side and all the city to just be completely decrepit and full of weird monsters and creatures. And humans continue to survive in the underground metro tunnels. And so that's how societies in these little city-states continue to thrive, is underground. And you play... Yeah, go ahead.
Wait. This sounds like Fallout. Are you playing Fallout? Are you sure it's not Fallout you're describing?
Yeah, I'm sure. It is similar. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. The tone in Metro 23 is a bit different. It's a bit more foreboding and definitely more serious. It's a first-person shooter, and it is very steeped in that setting. And... yeah, it's very interesting. It stands apart from the rest of the SPS crowd due to its kind of slower pace and more survival and resource management mechanics, because you've got breathing filters that need to be replaced, a visor to wipe dried blood from the monsters you blow away, and a flashlight that has to be charged, and a really cool mechanic where you have these powerful military-grade bullets that do more damage, but they also are used as currency. So that causes this very interesting like push and pull of... you get bullets as currency, and if you're low on ammo, you can use those bullets, but that means less bullets to spend on weapons and other worse quality bullets.
Interesting.
So
yeah, it's very fascinating. Yeah, go ahead, Blue.
I just looked up the book because as soon as you said it was based on a book, I was like, oh, I need to know this. Apparently, it is by Dmitry Glukovsky. And it was published in Russia in 2005 and then published in the U.S. in 2010.
Oh.
Interesting. I gotcha. The game also came out in 2010, so maybe that had something to do with the book getting published here in the U.S.
Interesting.
Yeah, it started out as a PC-only first-person shooter, and it feels very much like a PC first-person shooter of yore. It came out in 2010, like I said, so it's not all that old, but it feels very similar to something like the original Half-Life as far as first-person shooters are concerned, because there's a heavy emphasis on resource conservation, and you're just exploring these metro tunnels and the dangerous topside ruins of Moscow, and they're fairly linear, like you have a set destination that you want to get to, but there's branching paths to scavenge for resources and stuff like that. And the gunplay is a bit loose and messy, but it definitely seems intentional. You're not going to be getting the tight Call of Duty shooting mechanics here. It's more looser, slower paced, more methodical, but it feels right at home with the universe and the setting that they set up here. Like just like as a side note for the gameplay, there's one section where you man a turret for an on-rails portion, and for some unknown reason, you have to control your aim with both sticks. The left stick controls... you're looking left and right, and the right stick controls looking up and down. I have no idea why that's a thing. It probably shouldn't have been a thing. I'm fairly certain that portion on the PC is just controlled with the mouse, so I have no idea why that was in there. Whatever, it's fine. Stealth is also a pretty major portion of Metro 2033, and it works pretty well. It's fairly easy to stay unseen, especially if you turn off like the lights that are sitting around. So you'll see a bunch of lights dotted around the landscape, and if you blow them out, it's harder for you to be spotted. And it's a more effective way to deal with the human enemies you encounter to try and conserve some of your ammo and medkits, because one thing that I like is that it combines both human enemies in conjunction with these weird mutant enemies where just stealth isn't an option. So you definitely want to conserve your ammo during those human enemy portions so that you can have the resources necessary to take on the bigger challenges against these monsters that just suck in bullets like sponges. So because of that, the game is much more fun on higher difficulties, because that's where it definitely feels like the developers were building the game around those harder difficulties. And the lore and world building in Metro 2033 are fantastic. Like I said, the games are based on novels, so the developers probably didn't do a lot of the conceptualizing as far as the setting is concerned, but the way that they flesh out things are awesome. like I said, you've got this like apocalypse setting where atom bombs have wiped out everything. So it's like Fallout, and radiation from the bombs creates mutant monsters everywhere. So it's like Fallout, but people survive and take refuge in the metro tunnels. And the game takes this like BioShock route of having portions devoid of combat where you can just explore and just walk around, see people talking, see the ramifications of the current societal norms. It's very fascinating, very interesting. And I really like that form of storytelling. It's not new or inventive, especially for a first-person shooter, but I feel it works incredibly well. And you'll like just listen to people talking about what life was like before the bombs dropped, probably, because you are mingling with generations that have grown up completely underground and they just don't know what the sky looks like, which is really cool. And another element of the story is the supernatural aspects. And I feel that they fit so much better here than they do in something like Rise of the Tomb Raider or the Uncharted games. It's all handled really well. And while it's not completely original, it fits just like a glove in this setting, which is not what I can say about Rise of the Tomb Raider and the Uncharted games. Whenever the supernatural stuff came up, I just went, what are you doing?
Well, that's what I was going to ask about, because how did they explain these like mutant monsters if they're not mutated like humans? What are they then?
They're like rats. They're like people who were radiated up above. Or
so it
like
is people. They are people then.
Not all of them.
But some of them are.
Some of them are, yeah. They don't. I don't think they go into great detail, but I believe it's just implied that they were animals. That's one thing that I wish they could have done better, is have a more variety of enemies that you encounter. Because there's kind of just like 6 mutants that you really encounter, and there's like one enemy type that you encounter a lot. And I think those are kind of implied rats, but they're huge. Like they're bigger than like 3 people put together.
It's kind of
so
like
yeah,
Fallout.
I think it's just animals. I'm assuming. I don't know. But
You're describing Fallout here, dude.
Yeah. It's different in tone, and it's definitely different in gameplay, and it's different in story too, because it's not a role-playing game. You're playing this very set narrative, and you're not trying to save the world or make everything habitable again. You're on a mission just to try and get help for your hometown, which is just this small little metro tunnel. And so the story meshes so well with the setting and feels just as insignificant as the world makes you feel as a character. It's awesome. And that's something that I can't say for Fallout. Like Fallout 3, you're trying to like find your dad so that you can purify all the water. And then the ending is this weird scripted portion that you don't have a lot of choice in. And New Vegas did a much better job of that. But Fallout 4 also did kind of a bad job of like letting you craft your own story.
Yeah.
But this game doesn't suffer from any of that because you're not creating your own character. You are experiencing an effective narrative. So
that sounds interesting.
Yeah, by and large, I'd say Metro 2033 is a game with a great world and very little ludonarrative dissonance. It's a very intelligently constructed and cohesive experience, and the shooting mechanics don't they're not going to stand out at all, but it's an experience that I'm glad I had, and I would absolutely recommend it.
Nice.
Nice.
What about you, Blue? I'm sorry, Christian, do you have anything else? Sorry,
Nope, that was it.
Okay. Blue, what else, or what have you been playing?
This week, I first heard about a game called The Art of Balance. And apparently it's not a new game. It was on the Wii, but now it's on the Switch. And it's basically, it's Tetris meets Jenga. So it's all kind of feng shui setting and everything, and then you've got this little like dish of water and a platform in the dish, and then you've got all these wooden blocks of different shapes. And so what the goal is you have to take every block and you have to stack it on the platform, and it has to stay upright for 3 seconds, and then that's how you beat the level.
I see.
And there's 200 levels, and
holy cow.
I got the game at 10 at night, and I turned it on, and I was like, I'm just going to play a couple levels. And then I happened to look up and said, oh, I'm halfway done. I may as well keep going. And then I finished it at 4 in the morning.
Oh my gosh.
Jeepers.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. It's really fun. It's really addicting if you like puzzle games like I do. And especially because as you get further into it, they introduce different types of blocks that kind of mix up the mechanics. Like one type of block reverses the gravity, so then you're building on the ceiling. And then
cool.
Sometimes in the level, there will be several of those. So you have to plan ahead and know that I'm going to have to reverse gravity several times. And so you have to be aware of how you're building your stack, because each time it flips, you don't want it to fall down.
Wow.
And then
wow. That's
it gets a little complicated. And then there's blocks that as soon as you put something on top of them, they'll break. So you have to plan ahead. How am I going to stack this so that when this thing breaks, the whole rest of it's not going to come down?
Interesting.
So I don't know. It was really interesting. I really liked it. Yeah. So if you like puzzle games, go get that. You'll like it. I promise.
Is it multiplayer too, or is it just single player?
Yes, actually, they have they've got the original arcade mode, which is what I described. They've got multiplayer competitive, multiplayer cooperative. They've got a like an infinity mode where you just get as many blocks as you can take and you see how high you can stack the thing before it falls down.
Wow, that sounds fun.
Yeah, I think they're even though I finished it in an evening, I think that the replay value really does make it an excellent buy. And everybody that I've shown the game to, they're like not interested in it at first, and then they see me play a little bit, and they're like, well, wait, let me try that. I want to try it.
And does it play well on the Switch too?
Yeah, it plays awesome.
Nice. Yeah, I saw that game. I thought that sounded interesting. And I do like puzzle games, so I'll have to probably check that game out.
Mm-hmm. And you'll probably like it because there's as many ways to solve the levels as you can think of it.
Oh, cool. That's awesome. What is it retail? Do you know?
I think it was like $8 if I remember correctly.
Okay. Wow. And that's out now, right?
Yes, out now.
Nice. Cool. Are you playing anything else?
The other game I'm playing, I am reviewing. Okay. How do you guys say it? You know that game series Disgaea or
or
something?
Yeah.
How do you say it? Nobody knows how to say it.
Christian,
I just say Disgaea.
Yeah, that's how I'd say it too.
Okay, well, yeah. That's what I'm playing. I am reviewing that for the Well-Read Mage. So stay tuned for my review of that.
That's a really long game, right?
I'm sorry, what?
That's a really long game, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Like, Red over at the Well-Read Mage, he says, who wants this code? And everybody's like, oh, I want it, but I do not have the time. I do not have 100 hours to put into this game. And so when I finished Sunless Sea for the Well-Read Mage, Red's like, well, what code do you want next? And I said, just give me whatever you think is most important and that it gets done. And that's the one he gave me. So I will get to the review as soon as I can, but I have a long way to go.
Is it like a new entry that just came out in the Disgaea franchise? Because my understanding is that it's a pretty long-running series.
It is a long-running series. It's been, I believe, the very first one came out in 2003. And what I hear is that people are still playing it. Because it's a tactical RPG and you can level your characters to just absolutely insane proportions and have them do like billions of points in damage and all that kind of stuff. And so it's an old franchise, but it's still very much alive. And then the one that is on the Switch is a port of the very first game.
Oh. I see.
And then I believe there's like some other things that have been added. So it's not like an exactly one-to-one port, but that's basically what it is.
Nice.
Interesting. I've never dabbled in the franchise myself, but I've heard great things about it. The only thing that I've ever played is a spin-off called Prinny 2 Dawn of Operation Panties, dude.
What? What?
That's what that video game is called.
The Prinnies are little like penguin monster things.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And they wear. What, did you say panties? Did you say panties, Christian?
Yep.
Are they wearing panties?
No, they don't.
Okay.
That's just what the game's called because they like being weird.
Because reasons.
Yeah. Who needs reasons? Just play the game.
Just play the game.
when you get done with the review, I'd love to hear what you thought on that game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything else?
Nope, that's been my week. I am trying to, every time I sit down to play a game, I'm like, you gotta put in an hour in Disgaea.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. So I've been playing more Spider-Man. So I'm not very far, but again, I keep doing all these side things. But I just made it past where you are introduced to Miles, which is awesome. And it takes a very dark turn at this point. The part, so I don't know. Can I spoil a little bit, do you think? Can I mention something that I guess I question or no? Well, I guess I can question it. I can question it without spoiling it. When you find out who the villain is, I don't understand how Peter knows that that's who that is, because he's not there when he sees the villain, the main villain.
Mm-hmm.
Is it his
Do you know what I'm talking
Spidey
about, Chris?
sense?
I don't see how it can be, because he's knocked out. You're playing Miles at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm talking about, Christian?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the story in that game is not my favorite part about it, so I knew like immediately who the main villain was before they introduced the main villain, and so I was like, okay, and that just caused me to like detach myself from everything, all the circumstances, and I no longer felt like I was experiencing Peter Parker's story and was just kind of out in no man's land, already knowing the conclusions that the game would reach.
Yeah, I wish I didn't see any trailers of the game, because once I saw the trailers and then I started playing the game, I was like, what? I already know a spoiler here already.
Mm-hmm.
Like they gave quite a bit in that trailer, so
yeah.
But I don't know. I thought that was kind of a little bit of a there was a little bit of a gap there, I guess, or I don't know, continuity issue, because I don't see how Miles would know who this person was, and I don't see how he wouldn't even tell. I don't know how he could tell Peter or anybody that
Mm-hmm.
that's who that was. So unless and they certainly didn't leave a lot of people alive after that attack. So I don't know how that even happened. You know, so that was kind of weird to me. But other than that, that game is so good. I love going around and just being Spider-Man and just beating people up. It's just great. Because you just really feel like Spider-Man. And I've been doing a lot more different tricks and different like maneuvers and stuff like that. Like my favorite one is I do this grab where I grab them and kick them and
Mm-hmm.
throw them against the wall and then web them to a wall right away. It's so amazing. It's amazing. It's spectacular.
I keep seeing these videos online of people who they take the bad guys and they web them to a truck or something, and then they hit the truck on its side.
Yes.
So the guys are crushed.
Oh, man.
Or the other one that makes me laugh is you web the bad guy to a car and the car takes off and then the guy's being dragged behind the car and as you're chasing him down. That is really funny. I actually webbed one to a car and then took the door off the car and swung it around and threw it.
Oh my. Jeez, Roger.
I know, like Spider-Man wouldn't do that, but it was pretty funny. So I've been playing that. The other game I've been playing, and I'll have actually by the time this episode post, the review will be out there. Tricky Towers on the Nintendo Switch, and so we got a review copy from Weird Beard. So thank you so much for the review copy. And Blue, when you were talking about the Art of Balance, it reminds me a lot of this game.
Oh, really?
Because this game, it's like Tetris, except with like unique and I guess new gameplay too. So there's different. So basically, it's you can play one player and you can go through basically, like you said, an arcade kind of version of it where you just play these different puzzles, and there's 3 different types of puzzles. So you're building a tower, and you're like a wizard building a tower with Tetris pieces, and there's 3 different modes or 3 different types of games. There's puzzle games where you have to put the puzzle together and underneath a certain line. If the puzzle goes over this line, you lose. So you have to put the pieces together just right so it doesn't go over that line. And you also make sure that your pieces don't fall off your tower. Otherwise, you'll lose there too. So that's one. The other one is survival mode, where you're playing against an opponent, and your opponent you have all these pieces you have to put together on your tower, these Tetris pieces. And if any of those pieces fall, you lose a heart, and you lose all 3 hearts, you die. and then you start over. And your opponent is also zapping your puzzle piece or your Tetris pieces that can change them into different things. Like one would be, I don't know, a piano. So instead of the actual piece, it turns into a piano, and then it falls, and then you got to figure it out, make sure that it doesn't destroy your tower. Or you can turn it into like fog, so then you can't see like where you're putting your pieces. And then finally the fog lifts, but it's kind of tricky. And then the other one is race. So you're racing against an opponent, and you have to build your tower to the finish line before your opponent does. So there is 50 different levels you can play through as solo, but then there's also online. And in online, you can either play as just competitive matches, or you can play in a cup, in a tournament cup, and then you play against the different people. You can play up to 4 different people, 2 to 4 players, and whoever gets first place will earn, I think it's like 4 trophies. Second place earns 3, third place earns 2, and the fourth place earns 1. And once you fill up, I think I want to say it's like 9 or 10 trophy places, then the whole match is over, and whoever has the most trophies wins the game. So it's really fun. I mean, and then you can level up your level up, but you basically like earn status by playing online in these tournament matches. So definitely it shines in the online the multiplayer, I should say, because you can play multiplayer co-op couch as well, or competitive couch as well, I guess. And you can go on their website. This is kind of cool. You can go on their website. You can actually download tournament rules. So you can create your own tournament at your house. It has like all brackets. You can print out crowns that you can all wear. And then it also has the ability to print off a 3D trophy. You can actually print a 3D trophy that you can, if you have a 3D printer, but you can actually give that to the winner. That's cool, right? That's so cool.
That's
awesome.
really cool. I want one.
Yeah. I don't have a 3D printer, but if I did, I'd totally... that's so cool. So the one thing that I will say that I was shocked about a little bit is that online play, you can't create your own room. So when you go online, you can't just invite your friends. You're just playing against anybody that's out there. Either competitive mode or in the tournament mode or just in match play. So I was a little disappointed in that. I thought that they would have something where you can actually create your own room and then invite your friends to play, and then you just play against your own friends.
Yeah, that sounds like a huge oversight.
Yeah, right? That's what I thought too. The other thing is that I think there's like 20 different spells you can cast in this game. And the way you can get spells is that when you're doing certain different races or the puzzle mode, there'll be like a line with like, it's like made out of stars or something. And once you cross that line with your tower, then it gives you a spell, and it's random what you get. I think it's random what you get. And then you can either cast a spell on yourself to help you, because there'll be certain spells that help you, or cast a spell against your opponents. But there's nothing in the game that tells you what the spells are. Again, you have to go online and you can read through all the spells there, but there's no like index that shows you like, here's all the list of spells. Like it'd be nice to have like a menu where you could see all the spells that you could cast. It's online, but that's not in the game. But it doesn't tell you to go online and look at the spells either. I went online and found that myself. So yeah, but other than that, I mean, those are just minor. I mean, I think the online thing was kind of interesting. I'm surprised that they didn't do that, but it's not the end of the world. I think it's $15, and I will say this game is definitely worth the $15. They do a great job of making this into a party game. So if you're looking for something that's fun, that you can play locally with your friends, and you want to set up your own tournament, they have everything there for you. So it's awesome. I challenged my wife. We haven't played it yet, but together. But I'm sure she's going to kick my butt because she's really good at these types of games.
Oh, you're killing me. I have so many games that I haven't played. I've downloaded and I haven't played because of this show. And now I'm like, I want this one too.
Yeah, this game came out last week, Friday, actually. So that's available to you. When was the Friday? The 11th? Is that the Friday? So October 11th?
11th was
Yeah,
Thursday.
So, right? No, wait. That was 12th then. The 12th. Mm-hmm. So... yeah, that's available on Nintendo Switch, but it's also available on Steam as well and on PS4. PS4 has been available since 2016, I would say.
At the least, yeah.
Yeah. So, Cool. Yeah, that's pretty much all I've been playing. All right, so let's do this. Let's take a break, and then when we come back, we are going to have an interview with Gabriel Koenig, the creator behind Jettomero. So stay tuned for that.
It's 7:55. I'm late for Jessica.
Are you 80s enough? For the Video Kid Challenge? Survive your video round with just one life.
Take that, butthead.
And hundreds of ways to die. Save Jessica and win the game.
Maybe at the park at 8, okay?
And be amongst the best of the best.
Can you handle the Video Kid Challenge?
Out now on Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, and Steam.
When the universe might be in danger, who will save the day and protect the humans? Never fear, Jettomero is here to save the day. Or, at least, Jettomero will try their best. Watch out for that building, Jettomero! Jettomero, Hero of the Universe, is a relaxing journey through the cosmos, unraveling an emotional story about a giant, indestructible robot. Rocket through a beautifully stylized procedural universe and discover the history of Jettomero while jamming to a collection of down-tempo sci-fi jams. Coming to the Nintendo Switch on October 4th and available for pre-order now. Jettomero, Hero of the Universe.
Do you like video games? Do you like to read? Alright, guys, I know that those two things usually don't go so well together, but my new book, The Minds Behind the Games, Interviews with Cult and Classic Video Game Developers, is kind of like an ESPN 30 for 30 collection of interviews with some of the coolest creators in video game history. We're talking iconic games, Deus Ex, Mortal Kombat, Wasteland, NBA Jam, not so iconic, E.T., Night Trap, indie games, Pro Wrestling X, Towerfall. If you love video games, you will love my book. If you know nothing about video games and want to get in the know, read my book. It's available wherever fine books are sold: Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Target, Walmart, and of course my site, patrickhickeyjr.com. It's an awesome book. I had a ton of fun writing it, and simply put, if you want to get in the know and you want to find out stuff that's not even on Wikipedia, check it out. You won't regret it.
Hey, this is Roger from the Gamerheads podcast.
And this is Mike from the Controller Throwers podcast.
Starting the week of October 14th, you'll be able to listen to both of our shows by subscribing to one network, the Gamerheads Podcast Network.
That's right. Each Sunday, you'll be able to listen to new episodes of the Gamerheads podcast, and each Wednesday, you'll be able to listen to new episodes of the Controller Throwers.
Two great shows under one roof.
Make sure you subscribe on Podbean at gamerheadspodcast.podbean.com, or you can subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, or wherever you get new episodes of your favorite podcast.
The Controller Throwers and Gamerheads, a great team up just like Bonnie and Clyde.
They both died.
Thelma and Louise.
No.
Okay, Sonny and Cher?
No, not that either.
Kim and Kanye?
Close enough.
And welcome back to Gamerheads. Our guest today is Gabriel Koenig, the mastermind behind Ghost Time Games and the game Jettomero. So please welcome Gabriel to the show.
Thanks.
Thanks for taking time and meeting with me. Tell me a little bit about yourself and Ghost Time Games.
I started Ghost Time Games back in 2013, and it was at that point I didn't know how to make games or anything. I'd gone to school for video production, and I had been working kind of doing sound design at a studio, and they went out of business, and I thought, now's probably a good time to try making my own game. So I picked up Unity and made kind of it was, I guess, ambitious based on my skill level at the time, but it was like just a basic platformer type game that I launched on mobile platforms and Ouya, and then kind of went from there. I got a job after that, thankfully, and that taught me a lot of stuff about it. And so I've been just kind of prototyping ideas and that kind of thing since then. And Jettomero was the first big game that I did, and I was super excited to make something on consoles.
Yeah. And it's interesting that you said that about your background in music, because the music in this game is outstanding. I really love the music.
Thanks.
So Jettomero has a strong comic book influences. So what are some of your favorite comic book series, and which ones had the strongest influences, would you say, on Jettomero?
I was collecting comic books for a while, and I was kind of doing like the standard stuff like Spider-Man and some Fantastic Four and Batman, and they weren't really so inspirational. But then I got a Hellboy book, and that one, the art style really stood out to me, and it felt like it was more than just a comic book, and it was, every page was really a nice work of art. So I think that when I was playing around with the visuals in Jettomero, that Hellboy style was something that early on kind of grabbed me, and it wasn't intentional so much. It was more like I was experimenting with visuals, and then something that I did started to look like Hellboy, and I was like, okay, this looks really cool, and it reminds me of Hellboy. I should keep pushing in that direction and see what I can do with that.
That's awesome. Yeah, and it's interesting too. The story behind it is very like an old sci-fi kind of story. So were you influenced by a lot of sci-fi stories as well?
I think just the general idea of sci-fi, and I like that history of it, but I don't have like a lot of favorites or anything that I'd say I referred to. It was more just a general love of that genre and where it's come from.
Nice. How did you land on the hybrid gameplay then of Jettomero, where you explore planets and then you defeat bosses while you're also flying through space and exploring space?
The original concept for the game was just going to be you land on a planet, and it was going to be 2D, and you have like a little city that has a problem, like there's a building on fire, and then it says, okay, save the people, and then you try to, but the controls are all way overpowered, so anything you do, you just crush everything, and then it just says mission complete, and then you have to leave and go to the next planet, and you never get to redeem yourself by trying again, and there's no way that you could have done it in the first place.
Yeah.
And so it kind of evolved from that concept, but then I wanted to make something that was also really meditative and beautiful. So that was, I think, where a lot of the flying around and walking around on planets came from, just kind of as a way to be in a different place. And the bosses element, that was something that came in kind of just as something extra to include, because it was something I was actually considering taking out for a long time, and I was wondering how to add that. And at one point there wasn't even going to be a challenge to it. It was just going to be you found the boss and you basically threw them off the planet and they would disintegrate or whatever, and that was it. So having the little mini game battle thing was something that was kind of just a incidental thing. It wasn't like a core thing. I thought I should probably have something that you do more than just throw the boss away automatically.
No, I like the little mini games, and it's interesting. I mean, I don't want to give too much away, but the bosses are an interesting concept behind the bosses too. So we could talk a little bit about that maybe later when we get into the story itself.
Sure.
So Jettomero is a unique and original idea. Did you draw inspiration from any other games in particular for Jettomero?
Yeah, the original prototype, the name of the prototype was taking from Hohokam and Proteus and Sound Shapes. Those were kind of all the core influences, I think, going in, where I wanted to have something very bright and colorful and interactive and playful. And I think also Nobi Nobi Boy was a big inspiration at the time, that came in maybe a little bit after I'd started the original prototype, where it was this game where you're not really sure what you're supposed to do, but you can kind of mess with stuff, and it's just an enjoyable distraction, kind of. It's like a toy that you can just test out and see what you can do with it.
And how did you come up? I should have asked you this earlier. How did you come up with the name Jettomero?
Yeah, I was trying to think of a unique name for the game because I wanted to have something that if you Googled it, then you'd find it. Whereas the
Yeah.
first game I did, I made the mistake of making a super generic title, and it got buried. And I wanted to correct that mistake for Jettomero, and so I was trying to mash together some words from taking languages like German and Japanese, and then just looking for kind of keywords and translating those and see if I could mix them up in any interesting ways. So it ended up being kind of the Japanese word for jet and the Japanese word for melody combined a little bit.
Interesting. Yeah, I was gonna say it has a very Japanese kind of vibe to the name, so I like it.
Yeah.
What emotions or feelings did you want to evoke in players while allowing them to freely explore the planets at their own pace while still witnessing the story to unfold?
I wanted it to be a fairly relaxed experience with a little bit of intrigue, I guess. And then as the story unfolds, I guess there was a range of emotions I was thinking could be brought up. I didn't want to be too heavy-handed with anything, so I'm not sure if I succeeded in that, but it was I wanted to be mostly like a kind of relaxing and low pressure situation, so that even if if they took a heavy turn, then you wouldn't feel overwhelmed by anything.
Sure. Yeah, and I will say that the story as it goes on, I'm going to talk a little bit about that now. As it goes on, obviously it is a little bit heavier as it goes on.
Yeah.
Did you, what I guess what influenced that? What influenced that part of the story for you?
I think I have a fear of kind of not necessarily knowing how to help the people that I care about, and it's a weird feeling because it feels like I should be able to figure out how to do it, but sometimes I just feel completely useless, and I think a lot of that went into the feeling of how Jettomero feels trying to save people and not necessarily being equipped in the best way to go about doing that, and then trying to figure out how to solve problems when you're not necessarily the right person to do it.
That is really interesting. I mean, I like that, and what that I love about the story is that it has this kernel of like the old, like I said, the old school like sci-fi stories, right? Where and almost the hero quest journey too, but almost in reverse, where he starts off and looks for something, something greater than himself, and he finds out what his purpose really is. And there's different paths at the end then you can kind of take. I won't get into that, but I just thought that was really interesting too at the end, where you really do have a choice of what do you want to do at this point.
Yeah, that was originally going to end on the choice, and then a friend played it, and they were like, "You need to have some more." So I ended up adding a little bit more. So regardless of which choice you take towards that point, you can still continue playing and access a little bit more story afterwards.
Nice. Did the story behind Jettomero come first then, or did you create the gameplay mechanics and then add the story afterwards?
They kind of evolved simultaneously. It was a back and forth thing. Like I had a rough idea of what the story was going to be, but I didn't know how it was going to play out in terms of chapters, and I kind of broke it down into 3 acts, and then that gave me a clearer idea of how to progress with that. But the gameplay was always kind of fluctuating around it, and then I had certain elements of gameplay like the monster combat that kind of tied into the story a little more, and it was a lot of back and forth, I think.
What challenges did you face then while trying to ensure the performance of this game and make sure that it's rock solid on the Switch, and make sure that still holds true to the Switch?
Right, it was a good challenge because I'd already optimized it for Xbox and PlayStation, and that was... Well, I did the Xbox first, so when I moved to PlayStation, it was basically already optimized as much as it needed to be.
Sure.
And then going to the Switch, there was a lot more things I had to do to kind of fix things up. So for the generative textures, which I did a lot of on the other versions, I ended up caching some stuff for the Switch, so
Okay.
it's not entirely generative, but it really cuts down on a lot of the load times. So I think that was worthwhile, and I still randomize all the colors, so it doesn't really like I don't know why I didn't do that for the main game. I should have just done that. It was kind of like a fun, oh, I can make procedural textures, but I didn't really need it, and so the Switch version was like, oh, we can just simplify that, and it'll still be just as good. And then also all the physics stuff, because there was just tons of little objects on every planet that you can kick around. So I had to clean up a lot of that behavior, and basically anything that wasn't being kicked around at the moment, I had to put to sleep, and that cleaned up a lot of the physics use.
Interesting. Yeah, I love the planets and everything the way they look, but I do love just lumbering around like a big giant baby almost.
Yeah.
And just the objects that go flying by, and I know that somebody posted, and I just laughed at this. Somebody posted where they were going to take on a boss, and a planet hit, or a moon hit them right in the head as they're talking.
Yeah. I've always tried to do that because you can kick these boulders that are on the planet and just kick them into orbit if you hit them hard enough. And I've always wondered, I wonder if that'll come back around and hit me in the head. And it's been close, but that was hilarious to see it happen in the middle of a boss fight.
Yeah, that was awesome. And it just seemed to fit really perfectly with his character too. So.
Yeah, that's slapstick.
What did you enjoy most about creating this game?
It was like the process was really organic and back and forth, so it was fun bouncing between things. Like I'd work on the music, which was one of the highlights, I think. That was a lot of fun. But then I could go in and tweak the visuals and then try out adding some new spaceships or something, or some new little physics interaction, and then I'd go back to some visual ideas. And a lot of the time it was like I'd ditch a prototype because it wasn't necessarily the right direction, and it was still really fun to explore those areas and then say, okay, this isn't what I want. So having the freedom to kind of explore ideas and then abandon them again was really nice, which was something I'm not sure I'd have if I had more of a structured, and like if I was working on a team, it wouldn't be so easy to just pick up things and then say, oh no, this isn't what I want to do now.
Yeah, it's interesting that you said that, because I talked to Simon Jocelyn from the Voxel Agents, and he mentioned the same thing, where they would be puzzles where, in the beginning, they just couldn't find ways to incorporate them. They'd put that down, and later on, they were able to incorporate things that they didn't think they could do before. So it's interesting to hear you say that, be able to, basically go back to something that you had something in your mind, and then as you worked through different problems, you're like, hey, I can do this now. So that's a neat process to see.
Yeah.
What's next for Ghost Time Games?
I've been prototyping a new concept since May, and it's kind of building off of everything that, like, there were people that like Jettomero, and then there are people that really didn't care about it so much, and it's been hard. Like, I've really appreciated having the people enjoy it, but it's also hard every time a review comes out and it's really mediocre. And so I've been, with the new project, I've been kind of saying, okay, well, this is one thing that people didn't like, this is another thing, and like without giving into all the criticism, I guess, I've been trying to approach it in a smart way and say, okay, this is something that if I'd done with Jettomero, it would have been received better. So I'm hoping that this new project will kind of solve a lot of the... Jettomero is a risky project, and this time I'm trying to create something that's a little smarter in terms of accessing a wider audience. And it's similar ideas with destroying buildings and stuff, but this time you actually want to destroy the buildings, and there's a mutation aspect to it, so all your characters are procedurally generated, and they'll walk differently because they're all physics based, and it's been pretty fun so far. I'm enjoying where it's going.
Nice. I think that's what I loved about this game, is the risk that you took on it, though. And I know that, creating content of my own, I know some people will say I didn't like that or I didn't like this, but you going out there and taking a risk, I think was Absolutely. I think it was brilliant, and I really liked the game a lot. So kudos to
Thanks.
you.
Thanks. It means a lot.
You're welcome. How can people get a hold of you, and how can people follow you?
I'm on Twitter at Ghost Time Games, and I'm usually, unless someone's just asking for a free game key for no reason, I will answer messages. Yeah, I'm always happy to talk about my process for anyone who's starting out or anyone who has a problem. Like I remember along the way I had certain questions for people, and I reach out to people that I hadn't necessarily met before, but that I knew did certain things on different games, and they were super helpful to me. So I'm always happy to pay that back, pay it forward.
Nice. That's really wonderful. And yeah, listeners, if you have not played this game, it is a perfect game on a Switch. It is Jettomero, Hero of the Universe. It's now available on Nintendo Switch, but also on Xbox and PlayStation as well. And is it on Steam too?
Yeah, it's on Steam and Itch and Humble and
nice
multiple PC storefronts. Yeah,
nice. Yeah, so check it out. I just love this game, and it was fun to play something different than anything else out there. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, listeners, and we'll catch you next week.